What's up, everybody? It's Greg Burge with Delta Financial, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life, in your business, with sales, leadership, marketing, mindset, information, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And we bring our own guest speakers. Today, I've got the honor and pleasure of welcoming Mr. David Doehring. David.
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for asking.
Well, thank you for having me here. Look at us in person.
Live.
Yep.
This is great.
Yep. We've done quite a few over the phone and
over Zoom,
Facebook Live,
over
Instagram
StreamYard.
Live.
Yeah. So yesterday we were actually doing another recording with all of us, and we actually had a good one going, but we weren't able to finish it. So
no, we weren't. Should we tell them why we weren't able to?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so we were all having a good time. For those of you, maybe you'll have to go back and watch that one. But Zach has this this Polish, we'll say death juice.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of shots. We
Polish
indulged
moonshine.
a little bit. Yeah, basically it's Polish moonshine. And we had a couple of those, and we were all feeling good. We were pretty loose, and all of a sudden, I think it really caught up to Kev Dog. All at once, it kind of hit him like a truck, and he was like, "Just cut, I'm out."
Yeah.
And then he just went and started hurling up his lungs.
Yeah,
So,
and he never came back. So, but we were actually talking about some great stuff. Maybe we should take pieces of that podcast and splice them up just for later use against Kevin.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff on it.
He was saying some funny stuff. So anyways, when we were talking, you were talking about something that you were making a good point. You're talking about the people's inability and businesses' inability to change and adapt, right? Yep. So why don't you jump back into that?
Yeah. So the reference I was making was obviously, Blockbuster Video was one that everyone is pretty familiar with. At least, if you're a certain age. Maybe for the younger folk, you don't know what Blockbuster is, but it was basically a place where you could go and you could rent DVDs or VHS, and then go home and watch it, and then you'd have a certain amount of days to return it. Yeah. And if not, you'd get a late fee and whatnot. But that right around the time where streaming started to become popular, people could start watching stuff at home, and Netflix was one of the first companies that actually started doing that. And before then, they used to send out the little
They did the
discs,
mail out DVDs,
right? Because they were trying to collect data on what do people like to watch, and that was kind of like the plan for them to go and use their streaming. And Blockbuster thought nothing of it. I think they even had a deal to kind of buy them out at one point, and Netflix was like, no, we see the vision, and we're adapting, and we think that this is where it's going. And Blockbuster was stubborn. They didn't change, and a couple of years later, they were out of business. Yeah. So we see that a lot. I mean, there's a lot of different examples, but that was the one that if we're relating that to the insurance industry, you have to be able to adapt, right? Like if you're used to like mailers, right? Perfect example. I run leads that are mailers, and I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to build a company around just this one idea. What happens when mail becomes obsolete? What happens when people just check their phone and their email instead of going to the mailbox, or filling something out, right? I mean, when's the last time you actually, got something in the mail and physically wrote down something and put a stamp on it, licked it, and sent it back?
Yeah, no, it's true. I in fact, for case in point, I got in just today. I was checking the mail right before we started recording. Yeah. I think about 12 different letters that I didn't even open. I just chucked because I was like, nope, don't need it. Of course. Not interested. Nope. And just chucked it. Yep. And so a lot of those mail pieces aren't even getting seen. And it's fine because there's still a percentage that are, and mail is still being used as a legitimate lead source. But if you think that it's going to be around for the next 3 to 5 years and it's still going to be just as strong, you're fooling yourself. It's the rates are going down exponentially month after month, and it is dying. It's basically on life support right now.
It is, yeah. It is. I mean, like with anything, and who knows, like something that you'll adapt to. And let's say, just to use the mailer thing as an example, maybe you were having success and you were running your business based around that. And then, you know what, then you realize, okay, this might be obsolete, you know, in a few years. So I'm going to pivot and I'm going to go to something else. I think it's important that you don't build whatever you're trying to do based off of one single thing, you know, or like a certain lead source or something that obviously is going to be changing. You know, that's why, you know, you try to build like a distribution around something that doesn't have a shelf life, you know, and having like core values that you operate with, being able to be on your toes and pivot. That's something that's never going to go obsolete, right? If you have like those certain skills to be able to quickly jump and then, you know, have success, like you have to be, I think you have to be open enough. You have to be, you know, almost in a way, it's like, I got to be humble knowing that my way might not be the best way, you know, and there's always a better way to do things, you know, and this stuff is always getting more and more efficient. So, I mean, to be honest, like that's one of the biggest keys to success. If you can be one of the early adapters on something and hop over and be like, hey, I'm going to give this a try and do it. You know, you really only have to be right once and, you know, you can have more success than, you know, 99+% of people out there, but only if you're open enough to give it a try. You know, if you're stubborn and you feel like, oh, my way's the best. And, you know, Greg, I'm going to do it this way. And, you know, I've had success. Look at all the success I've had. Blockbuster was killing it. They were crushing it, right? They didn't, but because they weren't on their toes and they weren't ready to adapt, you know, it ended up, you know, really biting them in the ass.
It's crazy to think that the pride that they showed in the fall that they had was so massive, obviously, because they're no longer in business, but the pride both them and Hollywood Video showed and how that pride ended up just demolishing them. Like, how hard is it for you to, as a company, to say, man, this other company's coming in and mailing their DVDs out? Like, that's pretty smart. Like, why don't we do that? And then adapting the same model. They had way more resources. They had way more funding and capital. They could have easily done that, and then they would have crushed it. Netflix Blockbuster would probably be the streaming service.
They were so far ahead of everybody. You know, I mean, it's just, the fact that they weren't willing to, you know, to adapt and change, you know, that's something where, like you said, the pride was their downfall. And whoever was behind Netflix, right, they had an idea, a strong belief that they were going to go all the way with. You know, no one was going to deter them from their plan. Where it's like, oh, hey, we'll buy you out and you can be a little subsidiary of, you know, whatever, of Blockbuster, you know, you can be our little mini thing. They're like, no way. And that's why I asked you too, yesterday when we were recording, it's just like somebody coming in and going, Greg, I'd like to, you know, buy Delta Financial. I'd like to give you $1 million, you know, for Delta Financial. Just buy the whole thing off of you. You know, you'd say, go take a flying leap, right?
Go pound sand.
Go pound sand. Cause, you know, you have a bigger vision. And so you had an idea. And that's really how we got to this point, you know, was that you identified a change, really a problem in the industry, and you wanted to make a change and create an environment where other people that felt that same way, that, you know, had those same core values as you, that we could all kind of, you know, bond together and, you know, create something special.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I like how you tie it to humility and being humble. And, you know, a lot of people mistake humility and being humble quite a bit because they think that that's just like people being overly nice or meekness. Humility is being coachable and teachable and not thinking that your way is always the right way and kind of being open and open-minded to new ideas. That is showing humility and knowing that you're not like, there's going to be other people that are better than you. And always. There's something that you can learn from everybody. And so, you know, what I've found is that when I try to remain in a humble state, I don't let my ego get in the way, especially in business. I've learned a lot, even from people that I didn't necessarily agree with. Because sometimes you can learn what not to do.
That's true.
So
I think you did that even more than you probably learned what not to do more than what exactly should I do, right? Because not everybody is just like, hey, here's the golden path, and why don't you follow me and, you know, have a bunch of success, right? The ones like that, most of them, they try to keep things a secret. You know, if they do find something that works, and that's kind of the opposite of what we do with all the training and the university and, you know, the career school and all that stuff. It's like, hey, we've had success with this route. We want to make sure that we give you all the tools. That way there's no excuses.
And I'm going to take this a little bit left field now. So a lot of people, and I've had discussions with agents and entrepreneurs who are like, I just don't know what my purpose or my passion is. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or they don't know like who they are. Right. They or whatever their description is very weak. Mm-hmm. So a good way to define yourself or what your purpose or passion is by the process of elimination. So just remove what you're not. Mm-hmm. So if you start being like, well, I'm doing, all these different things on a daily basis, and you look at it like, I really don't want to do this anymore because this is not who I am or what I want to be. And you start removing things, what's going to happen? It's kind of like a sculptor, chipping away at rock and actually kind of getting rid of all the excess to create whatever our piece of art that they're making to bring it out, to bring it to life, is by the process of removing. It's the process of elimination. And so it's actually easier to do that and to remove those things, which you're not, than it is to add and be very specific, like I am this, right?
Yeah.
And so like you're saying, like you kind of highlighted was, I spent a lot of time just learning what not to do. And I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Which in essence kind of told me what I was going to do, what I wanted to do.
Process of elimination. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You got rid of that and, kind of chiseled away those bits. And then it becomes a lot easier to see, right? When you've got 90% of that excess mass or whatnot, and the analogy of that, chiseling away at it, then you kind of can see like, okay, it's almost there, like I just have to kind of just, clean up the edges a little bit and we're going to have something.
Yeah.
So I think that's, I mean, you clearly were in that state of mind where if you weren't humble and you weren't willing to adapt, you did so at the height, right? After your best month.
Yeah.
You had your very best month, and how easy would that have been for you to go, I finally cracked it. I can just stay here. I have all the fame now. I'm making great income. But deep down, you knew if I stay here, I'm going against what I actually believe, because I know there's stuff here that is not right. I know that there's agents here that are, being treated, unfairly and not unjustly. And you're like, I want to make this change, and I'm going to create this environment. So that was your, like, I want to be able to adapt, to where I think the industry's going and what I want to be a part of it. Yeah. I want to try to partner, which is what we've done obviously with Quility, but I want to partner with somebody that's, that focuses on, that cutting edge new technology, and obviously have, the core set of values, like, a solid code of ethics and all of that stuff, too. Right. Yeah. Which is the most important thing. I mean, that's what people care about is, are you doing the right thing for the agents? Are you doing the right thing for your clients? Because ultimately we're in the people business.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Customer service is everything.
Absolutely. And how you treat both is equally important. So, yep. David, I appreciate you coming on with me today.
Appreciate you for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Just having a quick discussion. I like this, and this is a great topic. I think there's a lot that everyone can learn from David's discussion today. Now, David, if anyone were to want to get a hold of you, how can they reach out to you?
Oh, I'm easily accessible. Yeah, you can just shoot me a text. Yeah. Probably the easiest way. I'm on my phone all the time. I think we all are now. Yeah. So if you're ever trying to get a hold of somebody, you're trying to shoot them a text, and they don't get back to you, it's probably they're choosing not to. Yeah. These days. Well, I give my buddies a hard time about that sometimes. I'm like, dude, I know you're on your phone. Just shoot me a text. But 760-505-2641. Or, of course, you can reach out on any social media platform. Yep. Okay. Instagram, Facebook, whatever you're rolling with.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question that I ask my other podcast hosts. Since you're live,
okay,
I think you're going to like this.
I'm ready.
All right. Top 3 people, your top 3 choices. Who would you want to break bread with, have dinner with, and pick their brain, have an opportunity to learn from them, living or dead?
Wow, that's good.
Across all time.
I might have to think about that, but I think there's a couple people, for whatever reason, I think most of the people are probably dead.
Okay.
Like, for example, the name that comes to mind is probably like somebody like an Albert Einstein.
Okay.
I'd be very curious as far as how he kind of operates a little bit, how he has created and like those kind of brilliant minds, I think. And then as far as somebody that is alive, probably Elon Musk, I would say. I think that'd be a really freaking cool dude to hang out with, because he's just so down to earth, but he's also like clearly, I mean, one of the most brilliant minds I think that we have on planet Earth, if not the most brilliant mind currently alive. I mean, all the stuff he's doing with, I don't know how that one guy does so much, but I think he's really, really so passionate about what he does. And he's clearly, I mean, look what he's done in the, with Tesla, with SpaceX, all that stuff. He's continuing to push and explore. And I mean, that guy is really changing the world.
Yeah.
So I would probably say Elon Musk, and then I don't know. I'd have to think about that other one a little bit. That was just the first name that came to mind. That somebody like Albert Einstein, or
Yeah. Well, you got one more.
Oh, I got one more. Oh, shoot. Okay.
Elon Musk, Albert Einstein. Who else?
Let's see. I would say, there's a lot of people. I would say, potentially somebody that's a really like influential public speaker. I mean, there's several of them. There's several authors. Like we read a lot, obviously. So I think being able to connect with some of those speakers, like maybe a Tony Robbins, maybe an Ed Milet, something like that. I think I've met him once before, but just to kind of actually sit down and pick their brains a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a whole different scenario, like then just like, okay, I've got a picture with this person before, actually like being prepared. And I'm actually glad you asked me that, because maybe one day I will get to meet, some of these people.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to be, like, oh shoot, like I would want to be able to take advantage of that, and have thought about what would I actually ask them, and where would I want that conversation to go, and how would I get the most out of it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because like in the beginning you might be like, oh shoot, this is so-and-so, and you kind of get starstruck. And then to me, it's like, there is no such thing as being, everybody's just a person, you know, like at the end of the day, it's like, they still came into this world the same way. They're still going out, right? Nobody lives forever. They still have the same brain, the same two hands. And, so it's just kind of like remarkable what some people do with their life and where they get to, and others, like they just so do not live up to their potential, So I think I kind of remind myself that too, of like, you think of somebody like Elon Musk, I was like, well, clearly, I mean, he's worked his way to where he is. Yeah, granted, he's gifted and he may have certain skills that maybe other people don't naturally have or don't come as easy. But I believe that all those skills can be learned, and practiced. So it's just like, man, the guy's so dedicated that I think I've kind of narrowed in, I guess, on the one that I keep bringing him up. So he might be the number one for me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can see that. For you, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, brother. I appreciate you coming on and just having a quick chat with me. Now, if you watched till now, then obviously you got some value. And all I ask is that you take this content, you share it with somebody else, and you can provide this value to them by word of mouth. Take it, put it on your social media, put it on your stories, talk about it with your friends. Anyone that's an entrepreneur, that's in sales, that has, focusing on learning from leadership or in business, and help us to grow organically. And that's how we're going to get our messages out for farther and wider. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time.